Most people overcomplicate making sales on social media. They build newsletters, complex automations, they launch product after product, and try every hack under the sun, only to burn out before seeing any real traction. But last month, this simple Instagram system generated over $170,000 without any webinars, complex automations, or exhausting launches. Now, I studied finance in college, and back then, I didn't fully grasp that economics is really just the distribution of scarce resources. I thought it was just another annoying class that I had to attend. But when you really think about it, most startups, like my software company MemberUp, are constantly managing scarce resources, be it time, money, or energy. When you're early on in your business, efficiency isn't optional, it's essential. Otherwise, you're literally gonna go out of business. And if you're just getting started building your business with no team, no budget, and limited bandwidth, this is even more critical, especially if you actually want to build a business that creates real-time freedom. Now, I know this firsthand. When I consulted for some of the biggest brands in the online space, we ran massive, full-blown launches every few months. And while they worked, they were exhausting for the entire team. The amount of time, coordination, and effort it took just to generate revenue for a very short window was completely unsustainable. Most beginners, they start by launching products, running webinars, building sales pages, and doing everything that they've been told should work, or that they see people doing that are at different stages of the journey. But the problem is, they burn out before they ever see any real traction. That's because they don't understand what I'm about to share with you in this video. This is a simpler, more efficient way to generate revenue using Instagram without chasing vanity metrics or overcomplicating the process. Now, first things first, before I break down the Instagram sales system, I want to touch on something that completely changed the way that I approach business. And it's actually understanding my personality type and how I think and make decisions. Now, if you're here, I imagine it's because you want to build a successful business. So what does personality type have to do with that? Well, first, if you don't know your Myers-Briggs type, after this video, go and take a free test. There are plenty of websites out there that'll tell you your type, and it's worth knowing. But here's a quick breakdown. The first letter is either I, which is introverted, or E, which is extroverted. It's how you get energy. The second is S for sensing, or N for intuition, which is how you process information. The third is thinking, T, or F, feeling, which is how you make decisions. And the fourth is J for judging, or P for perceiving, which is how you structure your life. Now, I used to be an INFJ many years ago, meaning that I made decisions based on feelings. But in building MemberUp, I realized that in business, this is actually not the best way to operate, so I changed it. And a lot of people think, well, you are who you are and there's nothing you can do about it. But the truth is this: who you are is just how you've been acting consistently. Act differently, and you can become whoever you want. Now, why would I even want to change who I am? Because success is just cause and effect. Every goal, whether it's getting in shape, making more money, scaling a business, is just governed by universal laws. Now, if I want the effect, which is a 9-figure business, then I have to conform to the universal laws that produce that outcome. And if you look at most successful business people, think Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, they're all T's, thinking types, meaning that they make logical decisions or that they surround themselves with people who do. So when I realized this, I aligned myself with the principles that would allow me to achieve similar results. Because frustration is denying cause and effect. It's wanting a certain result while refusing to become the person who actually gets that result. That's like not working out and expecting to be jacked. You're denying reality. And I see this all the time in business. People want to scale, make money, build a brand, but they ignore accountability, data, and logic because it doesn't feel authentic to them. Now, there's absolutely space for intuition and creativity, especially in branding, content, and product vision. But it cannot be the primary lens through which you make decisions in business. I knew this, so I changed. And because I changed it, it allowed me to build a system that generated over 1.2 million in the first 12 months using it, even with a very lean team. So let's break it down. First things first, how do we actually get customers? Simple. We find people who want or need the thing that we're offering. We communicate the value to them, we answer their questions, and then the value is exchanged. That's literally it. And the reason I bring this up is because this process has been so overcomplicated in digital marketing. You don't need massive funnels, crazy automations, 27-step email sequences just to make sales online. The core principle is simple, but most people, they just get stuck on the execution. So the real question becomes, what's the most efficient way to actually do all of this? Because if you're running a business solo or even you have a small team, you don't have time to waste on complexity. The number one thing that I'm always asking myself, and what I have my clients ask themselves is, is this the simplest way to achieve the goal? But before you can simplify anything, you need to know what the goal actually is. So for this example, let's use $10,000 a month because I know that's kind of the first big milestone for a lot of people just starting out. Now, to hit that goal, we need to know how many sales does it actually take? So if you have, say, a $1,000 product, then you need 10 sales. If you have a $100 product, you need 100 sales. Cool. Now that we have a clear target, let's look at the popular ways that people are taught to make sales on social media and see which is actually the simplest and the most effective. First up, email lists. I'm sure you've heard this a million times. You have to build an email list. And look, I'm not here to debate the value of email. Email has absolutely got a time and a place. But if you're making less than 10K a month on social media, I personally don't think it's the best place to start. And here's why. We have to remember that a sales pipeline is called a pipeline because it literally functions like one. And it looks like this. Large volume at the start. Fewer people make it through each stage, and even fewer convert at the end. Now, naturally, the more steps you add to the pipeline, the smaller the flow gets. So let's break down the math behind using social media to build an email list and selling from there. Now, in this example, I've used optimistic numbers based on industry averages and personal experiences across different brands. Now, of course, there are going to be outliers, but even if these numbers are off by a little, the concept remains the same. This is how you should be thinking through the efficiency of your process. On a good day, about 5% of your Instagram audience will convert to your email list. So let's say you have 50,000 followers, which, by the way, most business owners do not have, especially new ones. That's 2,500 people on your list. Now, let's assume you write compelling emails, which, by the way, is an entirely separate skill set from Instagram. So now you're managing 2 marketing channels. And let's say you get a 30% open rate, which is solid. That means 750 people actually read the emails that you're creating. Now from there, 5% of those people click through to your sales page. Now you're at 37 people that are hitting your sales page. Let's assume you're a badass copywriter and sales page designer, which, again, most new business owners are not. Even then, 5% of your visitors will convert. That's 1 sale. So let's step back for a second. You're managing Instagram and email marketing, which is 2 separate skill sets. You've built a sales page and written multiple emails, and all of that for 1 sale. So let's go back to the original question. Is this the simplest way to achieve the goal? Not to me. So let's break down the math of another popular funnel. Webinars. On average, 1% of your Instagram followers will click the link and opt into your webinar. So if you have 50,000 followers again, that's 500 people who click through. Of those 500, about 60% actually opt in to register for the webinar. Now we're at 300 people signed up. From there, only 30% of registrants actually show up for the live webinar. So now we're down to 90 attendees. And finally, 5% of the people who show up will actually buy. That's 4 to 5 sales. Now, let's assume you're selling a $1,000 product, which means the webinar funnel generated roughly 4,000 to 5,000. So to put this in perspective, you needed 50,000 followers just to get 4 to 5 sales. You had to create and host a full webinar presentation, which is a skill set of its own, let me tell you. You had to manage registrations, reminders, and follow-ups to get people to actually show up. And sure, if you tweak the process, improve conversions, or add a replay sequence, maybe you can increase sales slightly. But still, is this the simplest way that you can get to 10K a month? Again, not to me. Now, don't get me wrong, webinars can work, but for most people starting out, it's a lot of effort for relatively low returns. So far, we've looked at email lists and webinars, and they both have the same problem. They make customers jump through a million different hoops before they can even get their questions answered. Instead of helping people, most funnels today, they feel like mazes, forcing people through email sequences, sales pages, automated DMs before they even have a real conversation. But that's not how people buy. People buy from people. And in a time where everything is automated, impersonal, and AI-driven, you want to do the opposite. That's why I use what I call a connection funnel. And it's exactly what generated over 170,000 last month without launches, complex funnels, or impersonal automation. Most people overcomplicate sales, but at its core, it's really simple. Firstly, we find people who want or need what we're offering. Secondly, we communicate the value to them. Thirdly, we answer their questions. And fourth, value is exchanged. The connection funnel works because it keeps the focus on talking to real people, not treating them like leads in a system. Instead of making someone opt into a webinar just to hear a pitch, and instead of forcing someone to dig through emails just to get answers, We just have a conversation with them. It's authentic, it's simple, and it's exactly how business was done before the marketing gurus convinced us that we needed a 27-step funnel to make money. But here's how the connection funnel actually works. 1, we create content that resonates with our audience. That content is designed to get people to DM us and start a conversation. When they DM us, we answer their questions, provide value, and make sales. No forcing people to sit through a webinar before they can talk to you, and not making them wait days for an email sequence to drip feed them answers. Just real conversations that build trust faster than any funnel ever could. And you might be wondering, yeah, Amy, but what if my content isn't actually getting enough DMs? Now, this is where most people go wrong. They rely on content only when they could be supplementing with 2 other things. First is warm outreach, which is starting conversations with people who already engage with you. Second is cold outreach, which is reaching out to ideal customers who would benefit from your offer. Now, these strategies give you control. Instead of hoping that the algorithm blesses you, you're actively driving sales. And unlike paid ads, this costs you nothing. Now let's break it down using real numbers. Let's say you start 2,100 conversations, and this could be over the course of a month, it could be over the course of a year. If it's over a year, it's like 5-6 conversations a day. And this could be DMs, comments, warm outreach, you name it. 20% of those turn into conversations where you actually get to present the offer to the person you're speaking with. So now we're at 420 offers sent. 10% of those convert into sales, which means 42 sales. Now, if you're selling a $1,000 product, you're at $42,000 in revenue. If you're selling a $3,000 product, that's $126,000 in revenue. And remember, this is happening without long sales cycles, endless automations, or complicated tech. And here's why I think this works better than traditional funnels. It doesn't require 50,000 followers. It doesn't require you to be a pro at content and email marketing. It feels natural, like you're having real conversations, not forcing people into funnels. It builds trust faster, and people get their questions answered immediately, and it stands out. In a world of AI automation, actually talking to your customers is a competitive advantage, and we actually did a massive test of running ManyChat against real conversations recently, and real conversations had a huge advantage. And the reason is because as people are using robots and AI even more, what is becoming more scarce? Real human connection, genuine connection. And so as a byproduct, if something is more scarce, it's also becoming more in demand. And so you're zigging when they're zagging, and you stand out naturally because of it. Who would have thought actually talking to your customers is a competitive advantage? And at the end of the day, people don't buy from funnels, they buy from people they trust. And trust is built through connection. And that's why I believe the connection funnel is the simplest, most authentic way to hit 10K plus months. But the biggest problem is that most people just don't know how to execute this effectively, efficiently, and authentically. They assume having conversations with potential customers means spending hours in the DMs or coming off as cringy and pushy, and it doesn't have to be that way. When you know how to do it well, you can have genuine, productive conversations in just a few hours a day. And when the time comes, you can even hire support to help scale this process. I think far too much of marketing today is impersonal and, quite frankly, pretty lazy. People want to make millions of dollars, but aren't even willing to talk to their customers. And if that's the case, maybe business just isn't for you, and that's okay. Because for me, this is the reason to do business. I find this part, the actually serving and helping people through my products part, to be the most rewarding part of what I do. So if you want to start or grow your digital product business to 6 figures a year using social media, you should consider joining me inside of my program Rise, where we do exactly that. The results have been absolutely incredible. Melissa's on track to hit her first $1 million year. Sophia is making more online than she did at her salon. Rosa is now consistently hitting 15K months. But most importantly, the results from this system are actually repeatable because we're not relying on something unpredictable like free content to create all the results. We're relying on simple math. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And just on a personal note, the story that I've told myself is that granular, tactical business content like this doesn't resonate as much with you, and that you'd prefer more of the vlog-style videos with some business woven in. But I want to hear your thoughts, so let me know in the comments what you prefer. Thanks so much for being here, and no matter what strategy you're using, I'm cheering you on.